And now, Lifestyles Unlimited presents the Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Over the next hour, we unfold your map to financial freedom. You'll learn how to retire through investing in single-family and multifamily real estate. You'll learn how to create cash flow and build wealth so you can have the time and money to live the lifestyle you want.
Welcome to the show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, I'm working on your financial freedom. And some of you don't know what that means. When I tell you that I'm working on your financial freedom, many of you associate me with a financial planner. I am not a financial planner. I didn't go to school to be a financial planner. I wouldn't know how to do financial planning for you. I would be completely lost if you thought that that's what I brought to the table. What I bring to the table are resources. I bring an organization called Lifestyles Unlimited to the table. And Lifestyles Unlimited in itself is designed to help you achieve retirement in 5 years or less. Now, your financial planner, now check this out. If you went to your financial planner and you said, you know, Bob, I'm assuming your financial planner's name is Bob, by the way. You know, Bob, I would like to retire in the next 5 years. You know what Bob would say? He would say, well, if you have the right resources, you could probably get that done. And what Bob's thinking is, holy smokes, this guy has got to have probably at least $10 million already banked in order to get himself retired in the next 5 years. Because in a financial planner's mind, 5 years is a bridge too far. It is something that is not in their wheelhouse. The financial planner is educated on helping you get to a place of retirement by building up a bag of money. And by analyzing that bag of money and trying to predict how long you're going to live and how much money you're going to need in retirement. And they're going to have you draw that money down. That's the way that whole thing works. You didn't know that, did you? You thought that somewhere in the future, you're going to get a big bag of money and that bag of money is just going to replenish itself, right? Now think about it. What is retirement? Retirement is a place that you get to where you walk away from working for somebody else or yourself. That's what retirement is. It's being 100% in control of your life. Kind of like, when you were 6 years old and you were in 100% control of your life, except mom and dad kind of told you how things were going to work, right? Okay, well, it's the same thing, except mom and dad aren't there anymore. Retirement is you doing what you want when you want to do it. But many people in today's day and age get to that place of retirement and they don't have enough money. So what do? They either change their goals and their objectives and they try and live on less than what they thought they'd be able to live off of, or they just don't retire, trading time for money. So when you get to that place of retirement and you've got that big bag of money out there, that big bag of money really doesn't replenish itself. Now, you may have the money invested in some kind of securities, or you may have the money invested in some type of stocks or things like that, which may generate some money to the fund. But it's minimal. The big thing about that bag of money is it is designed for you to cash it out, to take money out of it. And I will tell you, that is a recipe for disaster. If you think that's going to work for you 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, depending on how old you are, I am here to tell you today that you're in for a potentially big disappointment. And that could be a huge, huge problem for you in your golden years. So what am I getting at? I'm getting at the fact that there's a way to get you retired in the next 5 years, and I don't care what kind of bag of money you've got. Have I asked you how much money you have? I haven't done that yet, have I? Because I don't care. I really don't care. Because I know you have assets. I know you have ways to get yourself retired, but nobody has educated you on how to make full use of those assets. So what do you do with the assets? You let somebody else manage it all for you. You do nothing with it. You're on cruise control. Your whole life is on cruise control when it comes to retirement because you're too busy working for somebody else or working for yourself. Have I made that point clear? So what am I trying to tell you? I'm trying to tell you that yes, in 5 years, you could be retired. By repurposing the assets that you have right now and repurposing those assets into assets that pay you 5 different ways, you can achieve retirement in the next 5 years. Now, don't just take it from me. Let me tell you about Vinny. He joined Lifestyles Unlimited. Now, that's the organization I've been telling you about that can help you do this. It's the organization that helped me retire myself in 2 years. Vinny joined Lifestyles Unlimited in 2019, and he transitioned that very same year from a corporate job to pursue real estate investing full time. He lives in a place called Southern California, and you know where he invests? Not in Southern California. He invests in a place called Arizona, and he buys multifamily apartment communities that he owns himself. He owns investments that he makes available to other Lifestyles Unlimited members. He acts as what we call a lead investor. And he acts as a passive investor, investing with other Lifestyles Unlimited members that, like him, are making assets available to the membership. It's pretty cool. Now, I know I've probably just lost half of you out there, but stick with me, because check this out. Vinny owns a 14-unit. Now, some of you just went, what? 14-unit? Because when I said multifamily apartment community, you immediately thought some big, 200, 300, 600-unit apartment community, right? Well, apartment communities come in different shapes, different sizes, different locations. Yeah, so there are apartment communities out there that you can buy that are 14 units in total. And he bought one of those. He did. And here's the neat thing about it. He bought this thing all the way back in September of 2020. What's interesting about September of 2020? What about the pandemic? Remember the pandemic? Yeah, remember coronavirus, COVID-19? Remember all that? Yeah, remember when that started? That was like what, around March of 2020? Well, in September of 2020, he bought that 14-unit apartment community in the middle of a pandemic. Why? Because everybody needs a place to live. And Vinny knew that because we taught him that at Lifestyles Unlimited. We taught him all that stuff. So check this out. He bought that apartment community for $1.89 million. And currently, as of today, that property is valued at $3 million. That secured him a 128% return on investment, resulting in, now get this, almost $1 million in realized gains at the end of the third year of ownership. Do you think that might have contributed to his ability to retire? Now, let me give you a quote from Vinny, because it's priceless. Here's Vinny's actual words. He said, "Enjoying the freedom to spend time as I want. Lifestyles Unlimited has connected me with like-minded investors and has fostered mutual assistance and growth." Do you think having that kind of relationship could help you get retired in 5 years or less? I think it could. I totally think it could. But what about Jeff and Susan? Have you ever met Jeff and Susan? I've met Jeff and Susan. You don't even know who Jeff and Susan are. But Jeff and Susan are Lifestyles Unlimited members. And check this out. They had really long careers with the same company. And with that company, they got relocated. Not once, not twice, but 3 different times. How many of you out there have been involuntarily relocated? What's it feel like? What's it feel like when you're told that your services are no longer needed where you're currently working? They need to be utilized somewhere else in the country, and you have no idea about any part of that country. And you have, my dog's, she's growling in the background. She's whining. She's like, oh, that is terrible. Does that happen to people? And yes, Winter, it does happen to people. They get told that if they want to keep their jobs, they have to go to a different part of the country. and they have to pull their kids out of whatever schools they're in, whatever sports they're involved with, and they have to relocate not just themselves, but their entire family. Maybe the company will pick up the tab for doing that. Are you aware that there are some companies that don't even pick up the tab for that occurring? And my dog's whining in the background. She cannot believe that this is occurring. But it occurred to Jeff and Susan. So now get this. Jeff and Susan, they stumbled across the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, the same radio show you're listening to right now. You might be listening to me on the podcast. You might be listening to me on live radio. It doesn't matter how you're listening to me. You're listening to me, and they listen to us also. And they knew they needed to hear more, so they became members of Lifestyles Unlimited back in 2021. Now check this out. What was going on in 2021? Yeah, there was still a pandemic going on in 2021. Yeah, my dog's whining. She's like, a pandemic? Do people have pandemics? Yes, Winter, people do have pandemics. Now, you need to pipe down because I got to get back to talking to these people on the radio. They're very interested in what I have to say, not what you have to say. So here's the point. In 2021, we were still going through a pandemic, yet they made a decision that they weren't going to keep doing what corporate America wanted them to do. And Jeff, now get this, Jeff officially became real estate retired in August of 2023. So it took him about 2 years to do it. So how did he do it? Well, he bought single-family houses. He bought fourplexes. He bought a 6-unit multifamily community as an independent rental owner. And he passively invested in 11 different multifamily apartment communities totaling over 600 units. That's how he did it. Now, check this out. I actually have some insider information I'm going to share with you about one of the single-family houses that he used to get to his real estate retirement stage. That single-family property that he bought contributes $398 per month to his household. Now, that may not sound like a lot of money to you, but remember, I told you that he had 5 of those. Plus 2 fourplexes, right? So you can do the math, and we start doing the compounding effect. That $398 per door goes up pretty significantly, doesn't it? It does. It does. Now check this out. That particular property also allowed him to capture $51,300 in additional equity over and above the amount of money that he actually put into the asset. So that was like growing his wealth by $51,300 just by buying that asset. And he's receiving a 35% cash-on-cash return. Now, I know all you engineers out there and you business majors, you can figure that out. You can figure out how much money he actually put into that asset based on the fact that he's receiving $398 per month and he's getting a 35% cash-on-cash return. Now, I'm not going to give you guys the answer because it doesn't really matter. The point is this. What are you investing in today that's giving you a 35% cash-on-cash return? And we're not even talking about the different ways he's making money with all of the different equity participations that he receives based on the investment in that particular asset. And it's not the only asset that he owns. Remember, 5 single-family houses, 2 fourplexes, a 6-unit multifamily community, and he's also invested in 11 more apartment communities. That's how he got it done. You can do it too. When we come back from the break, I'm going to share more information about people that you don't even know. Stick around.
Got questions? Call Lifestyles Unlimited at 855-497-4335. The Real Estate Investor Radio Show continues next.
Everyone is asking, is it still a good time to invest in real estate?
We see no indication that for the foreseeable future, and even the unforeseeable future, no indication whatsoever that real estate is suddenly not going to be the best vehicle for creating wealth and passive income for your family. And so that would say that now is the time to get in. And we very rarely talk about this because we talk about cash flow. But now we're talking a little bit about capital gains and what the future brings in that property. Because it's real. At the end of the day, you have all your cash flow, but you've got this nice capital gain when you sell. And the inflation that we see and the reasons for it are going to continue. And we're going to see great capital gains at the end of the line when we sell these properties.
Get in on the next free workshop. Register at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
Creating the lifestyle you've always wanted. You're hearing Lifestyles Unlimited's Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome back to the second half of the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, I am working on your financial freedom. And many of you listening to me don't understand what that means. You think that I'm a financial planner, and I'm not. I'm not a financial planner. I don't have any of those licenses. I'm not employed by an organization that has the ability to provide financial planning services to you. That's not what I do. That's not how I roll. So how is it that I work on your financial freedom? Well, by sharing information with you that no one else will share with you. That's how I get it done. And what I've been doing today is I've been sharing with you information about real people that have received real results by doing exactly what I do that caused me to get real estate retired in 2 years. Yeah, see, I'm in a place of retirement. I call myself real estate retired. So what does that mean to be real estate retired? It means that I have replaced what I used to do for a living with the fact that I own real estate assets. And depending on how I own the assets, that also indicates how much time I might spend in my real estate ventures. Does that make sense? Now, to some of you, that makes perfect sense. To others, I might as well be discussing the theory of relativity with you because it doesn't make sense. All right, let me see if I can address it a different way. All of these people that I am sharing information with you about, they recognize that they had a retirement problem. They recognize that whatever they were doing for retirement was potentially prone to failure, and they did not want to fail in their future years in retirement. Because now think about it. If you get to that place of retirement, in your mind, how old would you be? Now, for most of you are thinking, you're throwing out a number like 67. Why 67? Because that's the year the government says you should retire. That's when you can get your Social Security benefits, right? At the age of 67. So most people think, well, based on what I'm doing for quote unquote investing, if I'm getting a 7 to 9% return on investment, I'm going to need, 20, 30, 40 years to build up a nest egg so that I can retire and stop doing what I'm doing and I can live off that nest egg. And that's where the big problem starts because you don't know how long you're going to live. And you don't know if you have enough money in that nest egg, and you don't know if that nest egg is actually replacing the money that you take out. And chances are it's not replacing the money, at least not at the draw rate that you're taking it out at. So what happens? You put yourself in a position where you may be retired, but you may have to go back to work. Do you want to be 70 years of age and have to go back to work? And I think the answer is a loud and resounding, I don't think so. That's not what retirement looks like, at least to me. And it shouldn't be what retirement looks like to you. Retirement should be exactly what retirement is. You regaining control over your life. You having adequate resources in order to live the lifestyle that you desire to live. So I'm sharing with you real people who have obtained real results by investing in real estate, who also just happen to be members of Lifestyles Unlimited, just like I am. So let me tell you a little bit about Raj and Kunjal. Raj, like many of you listening to me, is an engineer, or I should say, he's a recovering engineer. What do I mean by that? Recovering engineer. It means he's retired himself. He retired himself in 2.5 years after joining Lifestyles Unlimited. But let me give you his backstory. He worked in the tech industry for over 20 years. And his wife, Kunjal, she was self-employed and working in business operations. And you know what they were living? They were living a life in the rat race. Yeah, if you've ever read Robert Kiyosaki's books, he talks about how we're living in the rat race. Well, you're probably living in the rat race. I've escaped. And I did it by doing what Lifestyles Unlimited taught me how to do. Same with Raj and Kunjal. They were living in the rat race, and they desired to regain control of their time. They joined Lifestyles Unlimited in 2017, same year that I joined. And they secured the title of Real Estate Retired in 2.5 years. It took them 2.5 years to completely transform their lives and walk away from what they were doing for a living. Raj is a recovering engineer. Yeah, he's still smart. He still has the degrees, but he doesn't work as an engineer anymore because he does not have to. Kunjal, she doesn't have to be self-employed in her business anymore because she does not have to. 2.5 years. It took them 2.5 years to get it done. Now, they did it by becoming what we call lead investors. A lead investor is somebody who goes out and finds a great multifamily apartment community, and they buy that community, and they bring other Lifestyles Unlimited members into the transaction. So they give people like me an opportunity to invest with them, right alongside of them. They do all the work, and we share in the rewards. It's a great way to retire yourself. And they did it by buying 3 different multifamily communities, and they invested passively into 4 other communities, kind of the way I invest as a passive investor. One of the properties that they own is a 108-unit multifamily community, and they purchased that property in December of 2018 for $6.3 million. And they sold it 4 years later in 2022 for $10.5 million. That secured them a 195% return on investment, resulting in a over $4 million realized gain after 4 years of owning that apartment community. It's opened my eyes into creating passive income and long-term wealth. I replaced my corporate salary in 2.5 years and doubled my net worth in 3. Raj and Kunjal got it done. They stepped away from corporate America. They stepped away from the rat race. They achieved what they set out to achieve. Oh, and by the way, during that time period that they owned that property for 4 years, guess what happened in the latter 2 years? A pandemic, right? And they still made over $4 million in realized gains. I think that's pretty significant. Could doing something like that change your life? Now, Danny, he's an automotive technician. Louisa is a homeschool mom. How did they find out about Lifestyles Unlimited? Well, they had a friend who's a member, and they became members in November of 2021. They had no prior real estate investment experience. They have purchased 2 investment properties, and those 2 properties, these are single-family properties, have given them an annual raise. I'm going to use the word annual raise because that's really what the cash flow is. Between these 2 properties, they're cash flowing $8,160 per year. Now, those of you that are out there that are automotive techs, when's the last time your boss gave you an $8,000 a year raise? They can use that $8,000 to do with it whatever they want. And in addition to that, they obtained $66,250 in equity capture. It means when they bought the assets, they did everything at wholesale pricing, yet that asset commands a retail price which is higher than their all-in wholesale cost. The difference between those 2 numbers is the equity that they capture. It's additional equity over and above the cash that they actually put into the deal. And we taught them how to do that at Lifestyles Unlimited. And here's the point. They listened to what we taught them at Lifestyles Unlimited, and they took action. Now, there's a guy by the name of Robert, and he was working his way up the corporate ladder, and he was trying to get into that corner office. And he realized the 401k that he was putting all his money into wasn't going to cut it. He owns a 224-unit multifamily apartment that he shares with other Lifestyles Unlimited members, and he purchased that thing in August of 2023. He bought this thing for $41.8 million, and it's currently valued at $43.9 million. He has a projected return of 170% return on investment in year 3. That'll be in August of 2026. Lifestyles Unlimited got Robert out of the rat race. Is that regardless of where you are in life right now, you can make a significant change in your life by becoming a member of Lifestyles Unlimited, by giving Lifestyles Unlimited the opportunity to teach you what nobody else can teach you, how to invest correctly in real estate assets, whether those assets are single-family assets or whether those assets are multifamily apartment communities is immaterial. They are residential-based assets, and they are ways for you to make an incredible amount of money in a short period of time. This is how these people have either obtained retirement or have gotten on the road to retirement in 5 years or less. Let me tell you the story about Robert and Lisa. Now, Robert, he owned a restaurant, and Lisa was a teacher. They joined Lifestyles Unlimited, now get this, back in 2006. They've been members of Lifestyles Unlimited for a long period of time. And the reason why they joined us back in 2006 was to create financial stability for their family and to enjoy raising their children. 2 years later, in the year 2008, Lisa claimed the title of real estate retired at the age of, are you sitting down? 32. She was 32 years of age when she walked away from working. They did not stop buying real estate. Even though she obtained retirement, now Robert still owns the restaurant because he loves owning the restaurant. And that's the thing. He controls what he does. If he enjoys owning the restaurant, by all means, continue enjoying owning the restaurant. But if you don't enjoy it, get rid of it. It's as simple as that. Recently, they briefed their fellow Lifestyles Unlimited members on a 67-unit multifamily community that they purchased in April of 2020 for $3.78 million. And it's currently valued at $10 million, projecting a 290% return on investment, resulting in an estimated $6.6 million in gains in year 4. I think that's pretty significant, don't you? It just goes to show that when they made up their mind to do something different, when they made up their mind to get out of the rat race and to take control of their life, they obtained control of their life. Here's what they told me. Their lives have changed dramatically. They control their time. They're putting time into health, travel, and their children. Retiring themselves was much easier than getting their 4-year degrees. I think that says a lot, don't you? I think that speaks volumes about what they've accomplished. I think you need to do the same thing. I think you need to consider becoming a member of Lifestyles Unlimited. As a matter of fact, I think you need to move past consideration, and I think you just need to pull the trigger and do it. Go to lifestylesunlimited.com. When you get there, sign up for the free workshop, and let's get you going.
The information and opinions you hear on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.